So, I think the best way to begin this is with a recap of last year because a lot of it plays directly into, I guess, my current disposition. Um, I've mentioned before that last year I was hired at this food place, restaurant, whatever you want to call it, and they had a help wanted sign and they make it look like they're looking for people. And after 5 days, I'm finally allowed to work in the kitchen. And at the end of this fifth day, which is my first one of handling the actual foods, the manager threatens to fire me if I don't improve by the next time I come back. And how I was so shocked when this happened because it seemed really insane to have a place that is, prostituting itself as needing people to apply to be so picky as to want to get rid of someone that they've had with them for less than a week. So, I come back on the sixth day, and I'm told by the manager that I have sufficiently improved enough to be kept on. I get 2 more days within that same week or the next week, and then I get no days for the week after that. Then I have one more day of work during which I finally get the first check from over there, and then I am called the following day by the manager who announces I'm being terminated. Um, and it was, I always remember this pattern because people will always chalk up a disposition or someone not believing something to that person just being, negative or, oh, it was just that one place that did that. And sure enough, when I came to the current one, I was very convinced, right, that okay, at worst it's going to be a repeat of that, but maybe it won't be. Again, I'm not going to hold my breath because I'm not going to be taken by surprise when a place that again prostitutes itself as needing people is so picky as to try and remove me after a couple of days or weeks, despite saying that they need people. So the same thing started to seem to not be occurring, right? And after about 2 weeks, I get called into the manager's office where I'm told about how there are people going on the store website and complaining about me. I think a lot of the complaints were just ridiculous, right? That's my opinion. Um, and I've said before what they were. One of them didn't even say I was rude to the person, so it was just guilt by association. They were mad because we didn't have something they want or whatever. It was just I thought it was stupid. But anyways, um, by the end of the following week, there are two more negative reviews of me. One of which doesn't even say what I did. And then um, during this, not this past Thursday, the one before that, 2 Thursdays ago, that was when I was called into the manager's office and told about how the next time would be my last chance to improve. And I started getting flashbacks to last year because at the other position, the previous position, it was the same thing where they tell you next time if you don't improve, we're done with you. And then after you come next time and seemingly improve, right? They keep you on for a few more days, which is what happened. I was scheduled for, I was given more days to do work because I wasn't on the schedule anymore by the manager this past Thursday and Friday. And then I was told yesterday to come there for work today, and then I came today, and that's when I was told I was being let go of because of another negative review. Where just like one of the people from before, they didn't actually say what I did wrong. They just, don't give you 10 out of 10. So it's, you're doing something wrong. Um, and I swear, I always just think about that place from last year because so many times when you're having this stuff happen, none of it is new. None of it is so original and unique that you've never seen anything like it before. Um, this place for the last 2 weeks just it became a remake of May of last year. Like I said, February of this year is a remake of May of last year because after you're at a position that prostitutes itself and says it needs people, right? For a few days or a few weeks, you get threatened with being gotten rid of, right? And you're given this ultimatum of not improving by the next time or you're out. Then you come the next time and seemingly do sufficiently meet what they want, right? So then they keep you on just to get rid of you for, after a few more days. It was the same thing at the other place, and it was kind of sad. Just as because I've already expressed frustration, anger, all the rest of that at these just at this whole situation, but it was really interesting kind of seeing people get, attempt to give me false hope. Like, oh, just apply somewhere where there's no customer service. Just apply somewhere where you don't have to deal with customers. And I'm just thinking to myself, it's like they don't understand. A lot of it has to do with these people don't have to apply to different places every week or month because they're not getting let go of every 10 seconds. When you have employers, whether it's the manager, the people above the manager, which is the case here, who are actively looking to get rid of someone, they will find any possible reason to throw someone away. Look no further than what happened last year. I barely spoke to any customers besides when they would call over the phone. And I wasn't let go of because of customers. I was let go of because I had a douchebag piece of garbage manager who expected me to learn how to do multiple food techniques in less than 1 8-hour shift on one day. And then even if you improved, would still look for other stuff to get rid of you on. And to this day, I was never given a specific reason why it didn't work out. I was just called and then told you're done. So, I always say it's so funny how people online, and some people in real life too, they want you to subscribe to what I call false hope. And it's really just kind of the belief that things will improve or not be as bad somewhere else because they say so. But if you recognize a pattern that these places are doing the same thing, right? Of going and putting up some sign, oh, we're hiring, hiring, and then they hire somebody, and then after a few days or weeks, trying to get rid of them over something, and then they give them this last chance where they supposedly do better during it, but then they still get rid of them after a few more days. What reason do you have to believe this will be any different at the next place or the place after that? I can't tell you when I was called into that office 2 Thursdays ago. I walked down the street acting insane. I was on my phone saying all kind of obscenities and using all forms of profanity because I don't take being employed somewhere lightly. Um, I try to learn things as fast as I can. I always show up on time. If they schedule me for some day where I'd rather be in bed laying down or doing something else, I don't complain. It is so irritating to be fully aware of the fact because people online don't see what happens at these places. They just assume things. And we already talked about the just world fallacy. Oh, you were gotten rid of because you did, you know, it's so sad to know that at this position and the one before that, you tried as hard as you could to do everything they wanted, and it just is never enough. These places always say we want people we can depend on and people who get on the job training, and then you do this stuff. They admit you're learning how to do it, and then they look for any old reason to nitpick or have a problem with you, and then you're done like that. That's why I was upset. You know, it's it's so funny how it seems like the number one superpower that people online have is this ability to always make it the fault of the person that it happens to. Because I said before, they a lot of people, I would say unknowingly, believe in the just world fallacy. They think if something good happens to you, it's because you're a good person, and bad happens to you because you're a bad person. Um, and I just don't know what else I could have done to appeal to these people. It's like if you have an employee that shows up on time every time, is there whenever you need them to, you see and you've admitted they're learning how to do all this different stuff you're introducing to them. it seems like it really is impossible to just be given a modicum of understanding, of being attempted to be retained by these places that claim they need people so badly. You just can't win. And I was so disturbed when I was walking back. I was like, is this really my fate? Just keep applying to different places, right? And then you get two results. You either have somewhere that doesn't respond back to you at all, right? Nothing comes out of it, just complete waste of time even writing it to an application. Or you have a place where you go and do the interview and then they hire you and then they try to fire you a couple of days or a few weeks after you get the position, despite saying that they were so desperately needing people, despite claiming that, oh, we're patient and we're going to give you on the job training and we understand that you've never done this before. This is really just what's going to keep happening. You just keep applying different places. You try as hard as you can to learn all this crap in a short amount of time, or the shortest amount of time you can do humanly possible, and then they get rid of you after a couple of weeks. I mean, you really just cannot win with these places. And I said, because here's something else that was really interesting that happened. And I explained this before. The only purpose that any of these positions serve to me is to give me unless they're making, they're paying some ridiculous, amount that none of these places are actually going to pay. But like the main purpose that these places are supposed to serve, the reason I put up with applying to them and going to interviews and working them for however many weeks until they decide to get rid of you, is to allow me to take care of myself after receiving a paycheck for a 40-hour work week. And when I was in the office today and I was speaking to the manager, um, they pointed out how almost no one, and I looked at the board with them because they have all the days throughout the week of the people that are scheduled. There wasn't a single person on there, including the assistant manager. The assistant manager I think he had like, it was like 37, 38 hours. There wasn't a single person that works there besides maybe the manager themselves that actually gets a 40-hour work week. Like one of the other assistant managers I saw, she only has 29 hours. And this was pointed out to me by the manager who said that that was her only job. So that's why I was mentioning how when these places start giving you part time, and even if you tell them you need 40 hours, that's why to me it just seems like, what's the point of even explaining to them that you need this amount of hours if they can't give it to you? What's the point of working there if even after doing all of what they tell you to do and meeting every scheduled time to come in there, you still can't take care of yourself? And that's why I said we're in an era where simple things that used to be understood as like basic stuff that people did is now made just excruciatingly difficult for no reason. You know, you go back 10, 20, 30 years and you wanted a job and you said, "Hey, look, I need 40 hours so I can pay my rent." You wouldn't have had to have applied to 100 places or 200 or to places in different cities. Like that's nuts. And then it's like, you think about some of this other stuff. Because I always said one of the biggest mysteries for me as someone that now has had this same stupid saga play out twice is how the hell do these other people stay on these jobs? Like I saw on that website negative reviews from multiple coworkers I had there. And remember, I'm the only one that doesn't have plot armor. So when someone else does the exact same thing as me, they don't receive the harsh career ending foot on your neck penalty. But that's always the biggest mystery. I always wonder, were these other people allowed to screw up or make mistakes or not be perfect? I'd sure love to know. Because it's like, do you really want me to believe that out of the 5, 6, 7, 8 people that also work here, none of them get negative reviews more than like once a year? Which, but I already explained that if they get less negative ones, it's because they're not even doing the cashier stuff all day long like I was. You don't have them sitting up in front of the store for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, by themselves, or with one other person that only comes up when the line is too long or getting too big. I just think that this is insane. I'm really really getting sick of just, and I guess I always hate acknowledging the idea that simple things that I think they should have, um, that should just be something that a person can get, are just made impossible. Like I'm really astonished at how you can turn a person wanting a 40-hour work week, right, into just this impossible thing, to where I remember before I got removed from the one from last year, I was talking about getting another job because of how, like, they were barely giving me any hours. You ask for 40 hours a week and you get like 8 or 10 or 15 or some other crazy thing. Not even half. I remember I had this one relative, they were like, "Well, I think you should go back to school." Like, yeah, go to a university where they want you to pull out thousands of dollars every year with the same group of relatives that wouldn't support you when you were trying to do that a couple of years ago. Dude, it'd be the funniest thing if, like, just as a social experiment, we, like, let's say I did go back and try to, like, go to a university and get a degree or whatever, and then it's like I'm still sitting on my seat like, oh yeah, I tried and I applied here, and even though I have this degree, they still don't want me. Ugh, who would have guessed? Dude, I think it's so sad that people really expect you to. I mean, like, I guess I just always imagine like this: if I have a school that wants 12,000 for me every year, right? Like, they want 12,000 for this year, they want 12,000 for next year, and I have 25,000, right? Like, let's say I have, that's just what I have. It's my net worth, and I give them 24,000 for these 2 years. So by the time you leave school, almost all of what you have has been taken by the school, right? And then so you and your $1,000 now have to hope that that piece of paper makes back what it cost. Like, I'm just gonna put it like this: if I have a school that's asking me for 12,000 a year, and I have 12,000, I'm gonna keep the 12,000. Like, guys, there's only a certain amount I'm gonna invest in something that's not a guarantee. That's why it's always funny when these, and I already explained before, a lot of the people that push for that school stuff, like, they either believe in the debt system of just like getting a degree and then having to pay off a debt for the next 20, 30, 40 years, like, just, ridiculous anchor on your leg. Or, they're going to be the same people who crap on you for not having for being in debt. They're going to be like, well, you did that to yourself. So it's all the same thing of people just, grandstanding and pretending they care so much when in reality they care very little. The same saga. It'd be like a hell of a movie where someone, like, what's a good way of doing it? Like, it's a split screen where you see them applying to one job, like both of these jobs a year apart or like 8 or 9 months apart, and they start working both of them, and then, like, you get to the point where the manager says, oh yeah, next time is your last chance to improve, and you're seeing it on both screens, and it just shows how everything just played out the exact same way. Man, these places, just, they are all the same. go around like a hooker, be like, "Hey, we need people, we need people, we need people," and then when they get somebody, they're like, "Well, we do not feel as if you meet our requirements and standards." Like, well, hell, you weren't saying that when you had me running that store by myself in the front for hours on end. All they do is hire people and then like look for any old reason to get rid of them. All right, Seth, if it wasn't that, it'd just be something else. When you have a target on your back, people will find any way to, I guess, make it cut you through or go through. Can we get some of the regulars? I don't know what happened to them. They just vanished. I'm wondering what happened to the mods. I guess they're all out for the day. I mean, it's fair because I wasn't even intending to stream today anyway, but I literally just went up there to get that that speech. Yeah, I wasn't as disgusted as I was 2 Thursdays ago because at least now I could see it coming. I was like, yeah, they're gonna do something screwed up. And I said before, every time you go to the manager's office, it's like you're walking on death row. Like the second I heard the manager wants to see you in their office, like, oh no, oh my god, have your head down like this. Ask if you can eat your last meal. They are really something else. No, this is just the era of making everything that used to be easy just extraneous and difficult. Like, I already said you can look at pretty much everything and just notice how insane it's been turned into in terms of its the amount of effort required to possibly get it. Like, oh, you want a 40-hour a week job? Yeah, right. Just got to apply to 200 places. Which, by the way, even if you apply to them and get hired by them, they'll just look for any old reason to get rid of you the first chance they can get. Seems like it's going to get even harder in the future. Well, I told you, I was getting sold false hope by the manager. It was like, oh, yeah, just try to apply to somewhere that doesn't have customer service. I'm like, yeah, I wish I could believe that. It's like, oh yeah, you mean like the other place where you're still gotten rid of anyway because you don't know how to cook a bunch of different foods in one day? I'm telling you, dude, it could be anywhere. I could be working at a car dealership. They're gonna be like, well, um, we didn't like the way that you parked that vehicle last week. The proximity was not close enough, or just all they do is look for any old reason to throw somebody in the trash. This is just what they do. Hey, James, I have people who try to say that approaching chicks is not as hard. Like some people are crazy enough to say it's easier than it's ever been, or it's not harder than it used to be. I'm like, why didn't these groups of guys talking about how hard it was to get with a woman exist 30, 40 years ago? If it's always been this way, I sure as hell don't remember any stories of a woman going on the internet 40 years ago and showing her butt and having a whole bunch of guys donate. Do you remember that? I don't. Man, people are just liars. They just sit there and they try to make every screwed up thing seem like it's always been occurring and it's always been this way. Like, yeah, whatever you want to say. Oh man, I can't wait to apply here and hear nothing back. So excited. Either hear nothing back or get thrown in the trash after a couple of weeks. The same thing over and over. And see, this goes back to you have a lot of insane people who will accuse me of being negative. I said, no, I'm not negative. I look at a pattern. And if the pattern goes the same way and it's not something I like, I conclude it's probably going to keep happening. I didn't expect to, when I was applying here, to have a position where after a few days or weeks, right, something happens that's out of your control because I can't control if people go online and cry about me. And they take that and they use it as the basis to try and get rid of you. And then, being told again, oh, next time's your last chance, and you seemingly improve just to be gotten rid of a couple of days later anyway. I had no way of knowing that was all going to repeat itself over here. It's almost like there's a specific pattern or sequence that these places all just have aligned with each other on. But it's the same thing with the chick stuff. It's like I don't sit here and actively go, yeah, I can't wait for this one to stop messaging me back and say no. It's like, no, they do that on their own. James, I don't know if you remember, there was a chick I talked about who I said that she would, like, if you try to have a call with her, she doesn't say anything and she just plays this stupid game on her computer. And it's really annoying because what's the point of being in a call with someone if you're not even going to talk to them? Like, I think that's really dumb. And how when you write messages to this person, they respond and they actually will speak to you. So it's like, why can't you do that voice to voice? Like, whatever, just a weird thing to me. But anyways, she went from sending me a message damn near almost every day for like 2 months to, for this past month, I kid you not, will barely say anything. And remember, they always have the same excuse. I've been busy. I'm so busy. That's why I couldn't write back to you for almost a month or for a whole month. I'm so busy. Remember, that's their shared go-to catchphrase line, right? So then yesterday, when I'm on Discord, I noticed something really interesting. The same person who's so busy, the same person who claims that they're not even on their computer, blah 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 blah. I see her on there in her garbage server with some other person in a call for like 2 hours. Now, do you really want me to, no, James? I want you to think about this. Do you really believe that a person can't write a message back to someone saying, "Oh, I'm all right," that will take less than a minute if they actually want to speak to them, but can sit there and talk to somebody in a call for multiple hours? And I didn't say anything to her. I just sat there and just nodded my head and was like, "Yep, same old thing repeating itself." It's just what they do. I really want to make a video about, like, and I don't know what's the title. It would be like the duration of chicks or something. Basically, it's like, this one spoke to me almost every day for a month, and then all of a sudden she would barely respond, even though she was online just as much. A lot of them like doing that. It's so weird. Where they just talk to you for a little bit, couple days, couple weeks, and then the frequency decreases to the point where they just won't say anything to you anymore. And like, it's not your fault because every time you try to contact them, they don't respond. But again, people are unfair toward men online, so they'll find a way to blame you because that's what they do. Yeah, I was looking at that thing yesterday. I was like, this person really wants me to believe that she can't write a message back to me. I can sit in this call with this person for 2 hours, really? And I thought it was really funny because a lot of times they'll say they're not trying to avoid you, but this server that I joined when I was still speaking to this stupid person, um, it only has about maybe 20 people in there, like 10, 15, 20, like a small number of people, right? So she makes a room in that server where the VC is locked. So her and this other person are in there, and you can't join if you're anybody else. That's purposely done to say, hey, you can't come in here. We're having our little private conversation, piss off. Because I explained before, if I want to talk to somebody in a private call, me and one other person, right? I will DM call. I'm not going to go in my server, which I don't even have anymore, but I'm not going to go in a server and make a room with me and this one person and lock it so that I can show everybody how secretive this discussion is. You know what I mean? Like it's just like they did stuff on that like on purpose, right? I wish people would stop giving them excuses. No, that woman stuff is the worst. But it does mirror the job stuff to a large degree where it's like, oh yeah, keep doing this and eventually things will change. And then when the same thing starts happening again, you're supposed to pretend you're surprised or that oh eventually it won't be the same. I already explained. I think if I did it to get another girlfriend, it would be another gold digger because that it's like we're seeing the same thing happen over and over again. So it'll probably be somebody else begging me for some money. That's the funniest thing with these guys who are like, you need to become woke. It's like, well, if you're wealthy enough, if these bastards are begging you for coins every time they pretend they're interested in you. No, it's just really comedic. Please apply here. Please, we need people. We need people. We need people. Oh, you applied and we hired you. Well, let's just look for something to get rid of you over. Let's see. You learned how to do most of the stuff. All right. Oh, you're not selling this program that nobody's buying. Oh, let's see. A basketball team worth of people wrote negative reviews about you online. Oh, okay. Good enough. Goodbye. These places are all the same. All they do is sit around in their little chair looking for any reason to throw somebody in the trash. That's all they do. But again, it's like if they didn't put up the help wanted sign and claim we need people, I wouldn't even apply to them because I would think, all right, they have enough people. That's why they don't have a sign up. But they put that sign up there and then they act as it's like imagine going to a store that's so understaffed where sometimes there's only like 3 employees at most in some instances, right? Not all the time, but just an example and they act like they're they're allowed to be these super picky. Like that's why nobody works there because all you guys do is look for any reason to get rid of someone. And again, it's so contradicting. It's give you an example. Imagine if I put up a sign where I said, "I am looking for people to speak to me," right? Like, please speak to me, begging, right? And then I go and I get maybe like let's say 5, 10 people to start speaking to me. And after a couple of weeks, couple of days, I'm like, no, I don't want you to talk to me. I want you to talk to me. I want you to talk. You'd be like, well, you're the same person who was so desperate to get somebody to speak to you that you literally begged for it. And now you're going to act all picky as if, you weren't just begging for this a few days. Like this, you invited this on yourself. All these places do. Just contradictions and pretending that they're so good. What a joke. James, are you still there or did you go watch that movie that you really liked? I forgot what it's called. Let me know if you're still around because I want to see if one of my mods would appear and make some commentary so we can spice this stream up. Oh man, I'm sorry. This stuff is so insane. Like now, whenever I go to an interview, I'm just like, well, let's see how this goes. Because the thing is, when something bad happens one time, you can kind of explain, okay, well, this person is just being negative, right? Thinking it's going to occur again. But now that we've seen the same pattern damn near play out twice, let's just say the second I get invited to one of these places and they start explaining stuff to me and telling me, "Oh, welcome to the team," and all this rest of this trash, I'm going to instantly think about, all right, let's see what happens next week or the week after that, because all they do is look for a reason to get rid of somebody. And I'm always reminded of the "What's the point" stream where I talked about how like people invest so much time and effort into someone or something that goes nowhere. And it's like it's the same thing. They sit here and they explain to you how to do all this different stuff. You learn how to do most of it at the very least within a couple of days or weeks, and then they get rid of you the first chance they get. James says, crazy. That's all I got to say. I mean, you getting hired, then they let you go, and for what? Nothing. Dude, that's why I said it, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I really just scratch my head at how just all over the place these people are, just in terms of their decision making. Like, I don't understand the purpose of hiring someone just to try and look for ways to get rid of them after a couple of days or weeks. And now that we've seen this happen twice, we know it's a pattern with these modern employers. They just it's like they're yanking your chain. They're like, oh, we want you to think that you find that the nightmare is over and you've been accepted by somewhere, but not really. Just I don't get the purpose of this. It really is for nothing. It's just like all they do is just waste your time. Like, can I just get a place where they actually aren't trying to get rid of you every 5 seconds? No, okay. So this month is a remake of of last May. We're gonna just call this the first May. Like, I'm not every time I refer to February for the rest of the year, I'm just gonna call it the first May because that's exactly what this is. Is this is a remake of last May when the same thing happened at the other place. That's why every time I get congratulated when I get hired, someone's like, "Oh, good job." I'm congratulations. Like, I never react with the same amount of excitement because in the back of my mind, I'm remembering when because I mentioned before when I got hired at the other place last year, I jumped for joy the second I got off the phone with the manager. I was so excited. It's like, oh my god, this travesty, this nightmare, this hell on earth, is seemingly concluded. Now you don't have to keep a plan. But then guess what happened a month later? After barely getting any hours, they let go of you, and then you're in the exact same spot you were in before. Like, you might as well pretend the last month didn't even happen. So I didn't get excited this time. I just kind of was like, okay, yeah, sure. Same thing everywhere. Keep applying, keep try. And really that's the part that kills me because like I said, when you know that you tried as hard as you could to make something work and then it doesn't, it's like, well, hell, what else are you supposed to do? Like to have the manager admit you always show up on time, you've learned how to do most of this stuff, you can run the store effectively by yourself for, sometimes hours on end. And it's like, yeah, and you still are gotten rid of. Like that's why I said I think these people have an unrealistic fantasy. I think they want this perfect employee. And I just don't think that kind of person materializes in a couple of weeks, of being on a new position. God, man, it is so frustrating to try and learn this stuff and do all of these things they tell you to do and just still end up with this crap result. So I said a lot of it just seems like it's designed to waste people's time. Like, I can't imagine for the life of me hiring someone and then like, oh, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, get rid of them. Just this stuff is, especially if it's only one or two things. But I'm telling you, like, I was really just starting to beat my damn arm against the wall because, like, with those people going on that website crying, two of them I know for a fact didn't even say what I did. They just come up to you. You do your best to accommodate them. They have some issue that is only explainable in the depths and nether regions of their mind, and then they go online and give you a negative review. And then it's like imagine if I and four other people go up to somebody at their job and we say, "Hey, we don't like this person." Like me and four other people, right? Me and this group of five people goes up and we say, "Hey, we don't like this person," and only three of us can say why. The other two are just like just cause, right? So then the manager, well, not in this case the manager, but in the case of like the higher ups are like, okay, well, we're getting rid of this person because a whopping five people out of the hundreds that they've served don't like them. So, that's that. That's why I said it just seems like at all these positions they just have someone or something that is there to make it impossible to actually stay there. Like I could be someone that works at a shoe store and they'll be like, well, you didn't arrange these in the way I like this one, on your first day or whatever. So you're done. It's just it really because I mentioned before, when you apply these places, they always play down the insane parts of these positions. Like when I was applying here, nobody told me because in my interview I met with three managers. None of them told me that I was going to risk getting fired if a handful of people went on the website and cried about me. No one mentioned that. Same thing with the other one where the manager didn't mention, oh, by the way, if you don't know how to um, make all of these different types of food in one day, I'm gonna threaten to get rid of you. Never came out of his mouth. I told you it's like two different organizations. When they're trying to invite you in, they sound all caring and interested and getting to know you, all this trash, right? And then when you actually get in, you see the other side. They transform. Just so tired of this saga, man. It's repetitive. It's lame. Matter of fact, let me give me a second. Oh, oh. One of the things we talked about was how, and I really do want to make a remake of that hooker stream, where like just an edited video explaining the points. But a lot of like disposition I get is just from being told you have to do something and then trying to do it, or in some cases, even like doing it exactly as they tell you to, and then it still doesn't bear the results that you were promised. So I very much am serious when I say I am not optimistic at all about the prospects of working anywhere else because now I know that no matter how hard you try, they will look for any reason to get rid of you. And it's like what is the purpose of looking forward to that if it's going to be the exact same thing playing out again? But I wouldn't come to a conclusion like that if I didn't believe I tried as hard as I could. I was just reading a post about why won't anyone hire me and applied to over 30 jobs and did not have any luck. That was me last year and the one before that too. Just apply, 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 and then you hear nothing back. But now it's even worse because like again, there was such a catharsis from getting hired by that place last year after months of the stagnation. And now I know that it's still a false hope. It's like um remember we compared this stuff to a comic book. Like the status quo is you being unemployed, right? And every time it looks like the status quo might change or one of these places hiring you, and then you stay there for a couple of days or weeks, and looks like you're actually you now have found something. Um, they just go back to the status quo because it's the status quo is something that has to stay in effect. It has to always revert back to the way it was. So it's like having a position is always temporary because they choose for it to be, not because you don't want to be there anymore. You quit or anything. No. And then you go back to that same status quo of being unemployed and looking for somewhere to hire you again. Status quo is God. Same thing with the woman stuff. It's like The status quo is you not being in a relationship, and then go back to 2016, you get in a relationship and it's with a gold digger who begs you for money every day and makes you miserable to where you say the hell with this. And then you go back to the status quo of being like not with someone. The person who responded says that it's all about job politics. Well, like I said, if you can get fired from somewhere by people who've never even met you, don't even work at that store, that's all you need to know about how screwed up some of this stuff is. God, I tried as hard as I could, man. Like, I always remember at the first one, the defining memory I have of me trying as hard as I could was like running around in that store and having to grab something out of the freezer and like lifting all these different heavy boxes and sweating the truck. And I was like, man, I'm really trying as hard as I. And it was. I always remember that because in that moment, I was like exerting all of this physical strength to try and get this stuff done as quickly as I could, like to go above and beyond as far as like what I would normally do, just go and grab something. But here you have to like remove all this different stuff to get to it. And even then, it's like your efforts are really not appreciated. You as an employee are not appreciated, no matter how much you do right. Like if you do one thing wrong, it'll override everything you do right. All they do is look for ways to stab you in the back and throw you in the trash. But that was a defining memory for me. I was sweating, I was tired, and here I was lifting this heavy thing up, having to move this different stuff around. And after doing something of all this extraneous effort and physical strength, I was let go of a couple of days later, weeks later. It's just I'll never forget that. But again, we live in an era where people just don't appreciate effort. Like that's why you can talk to a woman for 2, 3 weeks or months, and then nothing goes anywhere. And then if you complain about it, you're called entitled and told that you think she owes you something and whatever. It's like, guys, you told him if he wants a date or to be in a relationship, he has to talk to a bunch of stupid chicks for weeks or months at a time, and supposedly get them to develop feelings for him. And they'll sit here and write all this trash while they care about you, and they feel as if you have a connection with them, and just for it to go nowhere over and over again. And you're surprised that man who did what you told him to do would get pissed, would get sick of it, would get tired of them in general. He continues on to say, unless you know someone who works there that works the place you wish to, chances are slim to be hired anywhere, which I agree. Well, yeah, I know a lot of places around here, especially food places, where if someone works there, they knew another person, like their cousin is manager or something, nepotism. So I fully believe that. But again, it goes back to this thing of like, what else are you supposed to do? Because even if you get hired by these places, see, the issue we have here is that there's levels to it. So being unemployed is already awful, but then getting hired somewhere and then being gotten rid of very quickly is the other issue. So what's the point of getting hired somewhere if they're just going to get rid of you after a couple of weeks? If you make a mistake or do one thing not all the way perfect or as good as they want. Seriously, like what is the purpose of that? What good is coming out of this? Guys, this stuff is just so impossible. The woman stuff is impossible, and getting hired by these places and being kept and retained also seems impossible. That's how I was able to get it because of exactly the nepotism. Well, remember you got the other one because your mom was the CEO of the company. Yeah, she would. Your mother would show up in a suit and tie, and when James got hired, everybody knew why. That's how you got the. That's how you got the second job. She came in the office. She said, "Give my boy a check, a salary and a 40-hour shift." And they said right away. What does Flanders say? Oakley dokley. That's what they said. she she told him to hire you. You know, that was the funniest thing that like these guys were saying because everybody online is just antagonistic for no reason. They're like, maybe you're not qualified for these positions. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, if you want, like, you're really telling me I need to have a degree to like flip a burger, to make some food at a restaurant? Like I said, they just people hate men. Like that's all it boils down to. They don't want us to succeed, and they always want to blame us if something doesn't go the way we want. They acted like I was trying to be CEO of Microsoft. That's what I feel like doing, just applying for all kind of like ridiculous, like just apply to every position, even if you don't even meet the requirements, like whatever. Mm. That's just all you do, just like okay, whatever. I'll apply here, I'll apply there. Yep. God, man, this stuff is so impossible. I don't know. Maybe I'll go on the computer later tonight or tomorrow and just apply to places and just be like, well, I I don't know. It's just gonna be so difficult to like sit in one of these these interviews and like pretend that you're optimistic about it because I'm not. That's another conversation needs to be held about how like people they want to do anything they can to you and they also want to control how you respond to it. So, like for example, a woman telling you she never wants to speak to you again and insulting you is like you're supposed to be okay with that and respect that. But then if you make a stream about how um screwed up what she did was or a video about how she's X, Y, and Z, she gets like angry. She's like, "How could you say this about me?" I'm like, "Yeah, you don't get to decide how I respond to what you did or if I talk about it somewhere else." It's like, "Hell, you're lucky. I'm the type of person I am anyway, where I don't put out people's names. Like I don't have to do that. Have to fake it." It's like, "Oh man, oh yeah, I'm so excited to work at this position that's gonna get rid of me after a couple of weeks. When do I start?" I don't even like. God, man, that this whole thing is so bad. I can't even get angry anymore. I was angry when I was walking home earlier today. I was angry 2 Thursdays ago. I've ran out of rage because It just seems like you're forever stuck in this stagnation of wanting to work, being willing to be there whenever you're told to be there, learn all different stuff. And then, after you learn that stuff, after you show you're committed, they find any reason to get rid of you, and then they do. This just seems impossible. Like, that's why with the chick stuff, it was a slow burn where I was like, okay, going up to chicks you go to school with or you see at the mall, whatever, it's like it's not working. So go online. And you go online, you keep talking to them, they keep abruptly not responding, keep saying they're not interested, all this other crap, right? Total waste of time. And you're like, well, hell, it really seems impossible. Like anytime someone tells me, oh, next year you're gonna meet a woman, I laugh. Like I don't believe that anymore. And I haven't believed that in must be the last 3 or 4 years. You know, just for some people, they're not gonna get certain stuff no matter how hard they try. I fully expect to apply to 300, 400, 500 places in the next 2 years, and I'm not going to get, you're going to get two results. Either you're going to hear nothing back from most of these places, which is probably what's going to be the case, because that's what most of them don't say anything back, or you're going to be accepted, taken to some interview, given a bunch of stuff to fill out, just to be gotten rid of after a couple of weeks for a third time. Because this is what they do. They're not trying to be a source of main income for anyone. That's why even the assistant managers weren't getting 40 hours a week. One of the assistant managers only got like 29. Like at least the other guy can, I'm sure he can go and sell some bottles to get the other $30 for the 2 hours that he didn't get. Hey James, have you ever seen a woman that you didn't think was attractive? I'm just asking. Because now I no longer work there, I can say this. So I'm just gonna ask if you've ever seen a woman that you didn't think was attractive, like not saying that you thought she was not the hottest one in the world, but just like I don't find this person pretty at all. Like what, like, you know what I mean? Like, have you ever seen that? I'm just asking. Man, this stuff is so insane. I await James's answer. So James, let me know if you're even still there. You probably went to sleep. He's working overtime at that nice comfy position that he has. You've never met a woman that you didn't think was attractive. Well, one of my coworkers, um, she mentioned that she had, like, she was talking to one of the assistant managers, and she mentioned that she had a kid or something, like, I guess was getting called on her phone and said, "Oh, it's my kid's school," and didn't want to answer it. And when I heard this, there was a part of me that wanted to vomit. Now, listen, I'm not one to talk about the way people look. And again, what I'm doing here is a lot nicer than what's done to me because I'm not going up to her and going, "You're ugly," none of that trash. This woman is built like a refrigerator. Like the only thing about her that I would say is semi attractive is that she has like nice hair, right? Um, when I found out she had a kid, I was just like, that's how you know anything with a triangle, men will stick their banana inside of. I was like, what? I mean, dude, she is not pretty at all. Like, there are, and I've said before, I don't believe my standards are high because there's no way in hell I would approach 90 some chicks if I thought you had to be a supermodel or this other dumb crap. But it's like I really don't see any like you. I don't understand it. I really think she is. I don't want to say hideous, but like who, why, what, where like that song "Last Resort"? That's what she must have been for some guy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, who what man, whatever. I'm telling you, dude. If you said, would you rather go on a date with her or be single? I would pick be single. Like, first of all, I don't even like chicks with kids anyway. Because like I said, if you had a kid, nobody would try to say that you're appealing in any way. But like, I would rather like if that was the best I could do, I would just rather be by myself. Like, she is not attractive at all. I was dumbfounded. That's why I said, man, chicks never have to put up with any of the like constant romantic rejection or nobody's interested in them trash that men have to deal with. They can look any kind of way. They can be out of shape. They can, whatever. It's so stupid, man. The fact that chicks are like, "Oh, we're victims and the patriarchy." I'm like, yeah, whatever you say. No, when I found out she had a kid, I had to do a double take. I was like, "What? Huh? Really?" You can tell some guys are just on their metaphorical last like I've been on mine before with these chicks, and I mentioned it extensively, but I still have standards, man. If there's a woman who I genuinely don't find attractive, because I already said before, most of them I don't find funny, I don't think are that interesting. And really we only talk to them because we're, you have to by virtue of just trying to get a date. And it's like I don't know what would even be remote. Like, I guess she's nice. Nice as in personality, not nice to look at. But it's like I was shocked. Just more vindication that guys have no stand. Like, in general, we have no standards. I'm telling you, man. Like, it's also really comedic too, because you have people who are like, this man said he doesn't want to go on a date with this woman. That's why he's single. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't feel ashamed for not wanting to waste time with the person you know you're not attracted to. Like, I just never gonna feel bad about that. That's like saying you should feel bad for being honest, which people do actually believe that telling the truth is a bad thing. But I was like, I looked at her, I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't know what this guy found appealing. And that's why I said I'm always gonna believe that chicks don't have any issues or difficulties that could remotely equate to being similar or close to the issues that men have. It's just it's so sad that someone's gender can just guarantee them a partner. And usually if they don't have one, it's just because they're rejecting like everybody, like a whole like and that's the thing I thought was so interesting is you have chicks that don't really think about it because it's not happening to them. We talk about people who have empathy if something's not happening to them. But they have like really stupid explanations too. Like, you remember the one broad that said people are meeting each other on dating apps now, and it's like, yeah, and you really want to sit here and tell me that chicks care about personality when they will only talk to men that they think are hot or whatever? Like, are you able to get your own contradiction? But even with her admitting that, she still had a little false hope crap. Oh, if your personality still matters. It's just, when they get off the apps, they'll eventually speak to you. Like, yeah, and then they'll do the exact same thing where they pretend to be so interested, and you know, oh, I only like you as a friend, or whatever the other garbage, overdone trash is. Dude, I'm gonna just start making some romance songs. Like, I'm not even gonna have like a beat or anything. Just some rhymes, and then I put up some like pictures. I approached a woman week after week, but then she ignored me. God, you need like a whole album of like romance rejection songs of just this, like, one of them should be called "The Same Thing Over and no, like Over and Over," or "The Same Thing Over and Over," something like that. Or the like the temporary jobs are hooker jobs because they're like, please apply to us. We need you. And then you apply and you hear nothing back. Or you get hired and then they get ready after a few weeks. So like we need to just have some songs that all parody this different weird stuff with these places. Oh, you want a job that doesn't try to get rid of you after a couple of weeks and gives you a 40-hour schedule? just apply to 1,000 places. Oh, you want to go on a date with a woman? Just become a millionaire and exercise every day, and talk to hundreds of them every year. Like, it's like, who says that stuff and is like, yeah, this makes sense. This is totally appealing. People really want you to do all this, and that's why I said so much effort for so little results. Like, I remember that one day, it was a stream that I know James is here for it. I was doing a stream and I was having like trouble with my internet, and I was like, man, I'm over here fiddling around trying to fix the internet to do a stream that only like a handful of people are gonna watch. This isn't working. I'm done. just like turned it off. That should be like the motto of the 21st century. So much effort for so little results. Like all they do is just expect so much out of you. Go and be involved with making this project, and then you get like 10 views. Just all kind of crazy stuff. It's like, but keep trying, keep making an effort. I'm like, man, I'm tired of this. Like, you just get sick of it. Did you say hookers have a preference too, or did I mishear that? The only time I see them have a preference is if they say, because some of them are racist. No, no, no blacks allowed. But even then, that's not all of them. Listen, whatever preferences they have, they're direct about them. Like some of them do. It's what's it called, the in call, in house or whatever, where you have to come to them, or the out call where they come to you. But even then, it's like that's still way easier and way less frustrating than, oh, let's talk for 2 weeks or a month, and then if I don't feel as if I have a connection with you, then we can just be friends. Like, I'm done with that, man. So I just think even if you look at the preferences that hookers have, it still isn't anywhere near as bad as the ones that regular chicks definitely have. I don't know anybody that was talking to hookers for 10 years and didn't get did and kept paying them and didn't get a date. Like, it's just, what I mean, it's like if you pay them to do something, they'll do it. Like I said, I'm just tired of all this stuff. So much effort for damn near no reward. And James, when I told you about paying one to go on a date, all I was saying was, because you were like, "Oh, I don't think you should," do it," but all I was trying to say is, if you want something from one of them that is short term, because you can screw somebody and then never speak to them again. We've seen that before with one night stands or a date. Uh, you can pay them to do something. Like, I just believe that if you want female companionship, you should, and you can pay a price for it to like get it almost instantly. I would rather do that than talk to somebody or talk to a group of people who have let me down year after year by not reciprocating, by wasting my time. That was all I was trying to say. Like, you don't have to do it. I'm just saying that I would rather do it because I was tired of getting the same thing over and over. No, they're just much more direct with what they want, and there's not anywhere near as much time wasting. It's really sad that people. That's why I said we just live in an era where people hate men. Like, men are despised in general. Of course, they won't admit it, but if you look at a lot of the stuff these guys like say to you, like, I don't know if you remember, you had a guy that came on your video and he was like, "I thought you were gay and you have bad hair," and all this other like weird, nasty stuff. And it's like, you've never done anything to this guy. Um, You've never insulted him. He's never met you, but he knows like that what your sexuality is and all this. It's like this is so gross for like no reason, right? But you look at those guys and you look at these chicks that like wasting people's time because I already said before, if I start speaking to some woman and I know what she looks like, I can tell you instantly if this is someone I want to be romantically involved with, at least based off the way they look alone. I'm not, and it certainly wouldn't take me two, three, four, five. Because remember, a date is a one night event. Never have to do it again. You have to touch the person. You don't have to do any sexual crap with them if you don't want to. So yeah, it wouldn't take me multiple weeks to figure out if I'm going to go on a date with this person. Um, so I'm just saying that there's a lot of effort associated with trying to get pretty much anything out of chicks that I just don't have the patience for anymore. And I don't feel bad for not having that because they had their chance and they botched it and screwed up and failed. But yeah, if you don't want to do that, nobody's faulting you. Just don't get mad at us when we get tired of them and resort to something else. Because really, this is all just about wanting to experience something and feeling like you've been denied that and wanting it, still wanting to do it. Like I don't think someone should have to wait 10 years to go on a date with somebody. Like I find that insane, or multiple years. Like it's just a one night event. During that time, I realized that was a hypocritical thing to say because I was doing one night stands. The only difference was I wasn't paying any money, I guess. Right, but I'm just saying that I believe if someone wants to experience something and they can pay a price for it, they shouldn't have to put up with nebulous feelings of random chicks to get that. James, you realize if a woman asks you on a date and let's say you did it, right? You wouldn't have to touch her, you wouldn't have to kiss her. All you have to do is sit at a table with this person, or if you're going to the movie theaters with this person in the theater for an hour or two. And if you don't like it, you never have to do it again. Hell, you can leave during it. So that's why to me it just seems so insane that people prop up chicks and they think, oh yes, it is normal to go on this years long arduous quest not to get married, which requires a lot more commitment, but just to go on a date. People think it's normal to do to spend to be inhumanly patient and wait for something as frivolous as that. And that's why I want to do a remake of the of that stream about the hookers because I think the point has to be made. You can't expect someone, or you can't expect everyone to want to put up with this complete years long, some cases decade long dry spell of romantic interest from chicks. Like you just can't expect someone to keep putting up with that and getting nothing out of it. But again, they think men are supposed to suffer and just put up with any old garbage, so that's what they do. I'm so tired of that woman stuff. I just think the whole thing is screwed up. I said before, I don't think there'll ever be a time where I don't remember this stuff because it's always going to stick with me that to get a date, you're expected to keep asking out and talking to a bunch of women that don't even like you, for years. right? And then when you get upset about it, oh, you're entitled. Oh, you're this, you're that. It's never the woman's fault. Never. Remember, the most insane thing is to take the one person trying to change something, because you wouldn't be trying to, you would not make the effort of trying to appeal to someone if you didn't want to show them that you were interested in them, and then blaming that person for why it stays the same. You should have done this. You should have done that. Anything we can say to defend a dingbat. It's so sad, man. People just they want so much out of you for nothing. Like, oh, you want a job? Just keep applying all these places. What's the percentage of this thing? This person says, "Don't be upset about it. You will find another job." Yeah, and it's gonna be the same thing at that one. Like, you are doing such a good job here, and we're very satisfied with your performance. End of week one. We are very disappointed with this one thing that you didn't do or didn't finish as much as we would like, whatever. So if you don't improve by next time, we're going to get rid of you. End of week two. We have decided that we will keep you on. End of week three. We have decided to get rid of you. Goodbye. It's just this is it's the same thing. Like you, I guess what I find so interesting, right, is that these people, some of them, not everybody, have seen the same thing happen now twice, and they're trying to get me to think third time's try. And I don't believe it. God, man, like you know how hard it is to try and remember how to do all these different things in like a couple of days. Like I mentioned before, at the position I had last year when I was only there for like 9 days, I still remember where their security system is, how to like do stuff on the computer when people are making an order, you have to like click on the different icons, um, where all the where the different food is kept, where the back free, like all these things that I haven't even. I was only there for 9 days, and I know all this different stuff because I was trying as hard as I could to learn it and to stay there. And it just seems like you're never appreciated for trying as hard as you can, because you live in an era where people are very, what's the way of saying it, discontent, and they always have to have a problem with someone or something, so they'll get rid of you after a couple of days or weeks regardless of how well you do these things that they ask you to do. I was like, wow, I really sat here and tried to learn this stuff, and it went nowhere. It just it is. I'm really at the point where I just think it's impossible. Like I just think my role is to get blamed for every bad thing that happens, no matter how hard you personally try to make it not happen. And then you'll just sit there and keep getting blamed. That's why I said I'm gonna for either this next romance video or the one after that, whatever edited video I do after this, I'm gonna have a picture of myself hanging on a cross, because that's all you do if you're a man in current society. You just get crucified and blamed for everything. Every time. Hello, one person that was trying to make things different. You're the reason it's the same. I'm sorry, this is so impossible. Like I don't believe it anymore. I don't believe in, if you keep trying, you'll get what you want, or if you try as hard as you can and matter. I that's why I did the stream. Hard work doesn't matter, but in that instance, I was talking about like the stuff because I accept a long time ago. Most people on YouTube don't have that many subscribers, don't get that many views, whatever. But it's like now it's difficult just to get a regular job, just to get a job. It's like made so impossible to where even if you get the job, you can still fail as far as like keeping it. They'll still just throw you in the trash. It's the same thing with the woman stuff. Like, imagine living in an era where you have billions of chicks. Maybe it's not billions. I know it's like hundreds of millions, right? And people still like meaning they're a common thing. They're not some endangered species. And people treat them that way. Oh, you have to do this. What do you have to offer her? What do you have to offer her? Like, what do you have to offer me? What do you have besides a triangle that makes you worth doing all this stuff for? God, like all people do is just expect all this stuff out of you because they're just entitled pricks. And then like you get nothing and you're supposed to just not say anything about it. Remember, we had that clown last year write a whole 5 paragraphs about me in my comment section, and then gonna talk about, I bet he's going to mention me in a stream. Like, why would I not? It's not a common occurrence for people to write disparaging long comments about me. So why would I not mention that and how weird that was? And how creepy you are for watching someone don't you claim to not like month after month. That's why I said this is weird. I'm just so tired of this stuff, man. So much is expected and so little is given. That's why I said the number one like overarching theme of this stuff should just be like, you know how books have themes like forgiveness, redemption, anger, um, hospitality. The theme of this stuff should be like the question of what's the point. Like there needs to be some kind of book or movie, right, where the protagonist talks to some woman throughout the book, and she's like telling him all this stuff about her personal life and her trauma and her tragic backstory. And then by the end of it, she's like, "Well, I don't feel as if we have a connection. I think we should stop speaking now." It's like, well, what was the point of you supposedly trying to get to know me slash attempting to get me to know you if you were just going to cut it off once you were asked for a date? And at the same time, as this is developing and ultimately going nowhere, he's working this job where they're showing how to do all this different stuff, and then at the end of it, they're like, "Hey, look, we know you learned how to do most of the stuff. We could, I'm getting told by higher ups to let you go." Like, so you hired this person, showed them how to do most of this crap, just to get rid of them after a couple of weeks. Yep. And the book will be called "What Was the Point?" And it'll just be this theme of like all this, like so much effort goes into this stuff and it goes nowhere. God, it's so weird. I'm not gonna go for a whole 2 hours. I'll go for like 8 more minutes. And I'm gonna just go sit down somewhere. This just has been a crappy day. That's all it is. Like I went to sleep earlier than usual so I could be there this morning, and I come there and I get a speech about how, I'm getting terminated. It's like, oh great. By the way, they only had like 2 people in there today. So I said they're understaffed and they act like they have like thousands of people knocking on their door trying to work there. No, not at all. Yeah, it's just a sad occurrence that people expect so much out of someone. And I will never apologize for trying as hard as I could to stay at these different places and having your effort mean nothing to them. And that's why I bring the chick stuff up in comparison because it really is Like I think it's stupid when people compare them in a sense that they say, well, if you try to look good for a job, why shouldn't you look good for a woman? It's like stupid stuff like that. But I think the one thing they have in common that's indisputable is this expectation on the part of the person that wants it. So if you're a man, you want, I don't know, a girlfriend, a date, whatever, and thinking that this person, just because they want something, needs to experience this arduous quest of getting the same result over and over again in the hopes that one of them will eventually, maybe, possibly, but probably still end up saying the exact same thing as the rest of them. That's the only way these two things are similar. You know, I always say it's so funny because, like, with jobs, you're supposed to like make money on them. With chicks, all you do is lose money because they beg you for it. Not all women are gold diggers. Well, every gold digger I see seems to be a woman. I've never. I'm just gonna put it this way. I've never seen a guy in real life. Maybe there's some celebrity couple like this, but I'm just going off people I've seen. I've never seen a guy in real life date a woman and she's like paying for his house and car and all this other stuff. Like it's just. I mean, come on, man. Everybody knows this. Chicks get away with everything. They can treat the man they're with like dirt if they're pretty enough, and they'll be forgiven because of their physical attractiveness, quote unquote. Hey, not every woman is a gold digger, but every gold digger is a woman. That's really what it is. Like I've never seen it the other way around. Because I mentioned before, I've never begged a single chick for money, at any point. But it does seem as if that's what they do. They go and they talk to, are with some guy, and like one of the reasons for that is for financial stuff. And it's like, don't pretend that you actually care about this person or like them for who they are. Which is why I said I do think that if I had another woman show interest in me, it would probably, it's going to be some more ulterior motive crap, like, oh, you have this many subscribers, I like you, yeah, and then you want to shout out, because we had that happen before, right? Refused to give her one. Um, or you'd have one of them who's like a little bit more discreet about the gold digger stuff, like, hey, there's this thing I really like. It sure would be nice if you bought, that kind of stuff. So I'm not optimistic. James says weird indeed. It's the same thing over and over. I'm still laughing at the person who said my content's repetitive. Like, yeah, yeah, life is repetitive. You sit there and go to a 9 to 5 every day, in some instances. And if you don't have a job, you keep applying to places over and over, and you either hear nothing back or you get hired and they get rid of you after a few days or weeks. Is for the same cycle to keep going. Like, yeah, if things were different, you would get different stories, but it's unfortunately just a repeat of what happened before. So the only difference is the manager wasn't evil this time. That's that's pretty much it. Your stuff is repetitive. It's like, yeah, it has to be, because the same thing keeps happening again. Like real life dictates whether you get some new exciting adventure from me. And if I'm not getting that new exciting adventure, I'm not going to sit here and lie. Just so that you might be a little bit more entertained. Like, give me a break. James, do you have any final comments or things to say? Because I'm on my last leg with these places and these chicks. I'm on my last leg with this stream too. So you offer your final thoughts and then we can close this out. Let me know if you have any final pieces of commentary to give. Yeah, life does suck, and you know what? That's why the suicide rate among men is so high, because you're constantly put in these garbage scenarios where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You've seen people do this, right? Where they make fun of somebody, or like, oh, you work at this place. Like, you'll make fun of somebody for not having a job, and then you'll also make fun of them for what their job is. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. Just like with the chick thing. Chicks go online and complain about men they're not interested in trying to approach them and talk to them, right? So If you approach a woman, they get annoyed that you're trying to talk to them because they get tired of all the attention. If you don't approach them, you get blamed for them not being interested in you, and you're told that you lack confidence and all the rest of this trash. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. Just like with the job stuff, you apply somewhere, and if you hear something back and don't get hired, you get irritated, and you get also blamed for like not appealing to these people enough. Then if you don't hear anything back, you also get blamed for not appealing enough to these people to hear anything back. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's just yeah, life sucks is the best way to put it. There are too many negative bad consequences for men just for wanting like simple stuff. Like, you know what? If every time I ran for office, let's say I ran for the House, right, or the Senate, I lost, I would be completely content with that. I would say, look, I'm not famous, I'm not world known, I'm not some like well established person that runs and wins. I can complete most people who run for office lose. I can completely live with that. But just if you want a 9 to 5 job that doesn't try to fire you every other week, or you want to go on a date with a woman, you know, or get a family, stuff that millions of men have had, it's too much. And you're attacked for wanting these simple things and being the only goddamn person that tried to make them actually happen. It's the Twilight Zone. It doesn't make any sense. So thanks for showing up, James. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. I'm really tired of the crucible. Like you don't have to crucify somebody every time they want simple things that a few decades ago wouldn't even be requiring all this type of effort and work for.